Hi, my name is Brian McKim, and I am a home loan consultant with Skyline Home Loans. I've been doing this for about 11 years, and I thought it would be good to spend some time this morning and go over a question that I get a lot, which is explain to me why I need to get pre-approved. What's the value in getting pre-approved, and how do I do it? So we're going to break this pre-approval educational process into 3 stages. The first video is going to touch on how do you get pre-approved and why is it important. So really, to get pre-approved, the first step that I typically like to take is to go through and have a 10 to 20 minute phone conversation with a prospective client. And we can do that, like I said, most of the time over the phone, or sometimes we do meet up in person, and I love meeting up in person, but sometimes during the day, during the week, it just is inconvenient for the prospective home buyer to come into the office. So a 10 to 15 minute phone conversation will allow me to get some information about what they're looking to do. If they have a price range established, how far along in the process are they? And it will allow me to gather some information about the prospective buyers, who they are, where they live, where do they work, how is their income structured, where are they getting the down payment monies, and just ask them a lot of questions and really start to not only get to know them, but understand exactly what their situation is and how I might be able to help them. So a 10 to 15 minute, maybe 20 minute conversation is really all that's needed initially. And then from there we go into document review. So depending on the information that I gather up about the prospect, about their income, their job, their down payment, their entire situation, I'll know what documents to request for them. Tax returns, bank statements, gift letter, verification of rent. There's a multitude of documents that might need to be reviewed. So after the initial conversation, I'll let them know, hey, please gather these items up, and they can either fax them to me, drop them off in person, or scan and email them to me. It's a good idea for prospective buyers out there to start to organize these documents, because really, whether they use me or whether they use a different lender down the street, the documents are basically going to be all the same. So the sooner that a buyer can start to organize, scan, save their documents, it's going to make their lives much easier, because truthfully these days, to get a home loan, there is a lot of documentation needed. So the more organized and prepared that documentation is, the easier time everyone's going to have. So initial phone conversation, then document review. And really, this whole pre-approval process serves a couple of different purposes. One is to educate the buyer, whether it be a first-time buyer or whether it be a repeat buyer. The mortgage industry has changed, lending has changed, banking's changed. So it's important to educate a prospective buyer of what to expect, what the prevailing rates are, what their payments are going to be, what the approximate closing costs are going to be, and what can they afford? What are they comfortable spending every month on a mortgage, including property taxes, including home insurance. It's really a step-by-step educational process to make sure that a prospective buyer not only is pre-approved, but is comfortable moving forward, knowing exactly what to expect. Also, to get pre-approved means to prepare the buyer and make sure that the buyer is a serious buyer. Perhaps a buyer might be looking at homes around $500,000, and really that's what they want to spend. But really, once they look at the payments, they look at the closing costs, maybe they would feel more comfortable at $350,000 or $400,000, or vice versa. Maybe they think there's no way I can afford this $750,000 home in this school district that I really would like to be in. But maybe after looking at the finances, looking at the current rates, maybe the buyer will decide that, you know what, I can make this work. So everyone's going to want to know, are they a serious buyer? The seller is going to want to know when they go to make an offer, is this buyer pre-approved? Is he a serious buyer? If I accept this offer, is it going to go through? And did the buyer do his due diligence or her due diligence up front to get pre-approved and prepare themselves? And then that leads into my last point, which is prepare to make an offer. If you make an offer these days and you're not pre-approved, you don't have that pre-approval letter, a seller really is not going to take your offer very seriously. It's very competitive right now. There's not a lot of inventory out there. There's not a lot of homes. So to go in without a pre-approval letter, I would say you really don't have a strong shot at getting your offer accepted. So I hope you found this educational. To get pre-approved is not a complicated process. It's not difficult. And I look forward to helping you. Before we go, we have a few questions from some folks out there who emailed me last week regarding this topic. I'd like to share them with you now. Bill from La Crescenta wrote to me and asked, what's the cost of a pre-approval? I don't charge anything for a pre-approval, and most banks and most loan officers do not. I have heard stories of certain banks and certain loan officers charging for a pre-approval, but most do not. I do not, and really it's complimentary. So no charge on the pre-approval. Let's see, Nora from Glendale asked me, how long is a pre-approval good for? And this is a good question. Typically speaking, a pre-approval is good for 90 days because a credit report is good for 90 days. So after 90 days, a new credit would have to be run and the file would have to be updated. That said, to update a pre-approval after 90 days is very easy, and it's not as though you would have to start from scratch. Hopefully your loan officer or myself would pick up exactly where it was left off, and if a new credit report needs to be run or new pay stubs need to be gathered or new bank statements, that can be quickly done and a new pre-approval quickly issued. So really, after you get through the initial document gathering and credit check and review, to get an updated pre-approval is easy. I've worked with buyers who haven't found a house in a year and a half, and to get new pre-approvals for them is very easy. So 90 days, but beyond that, it's easy to update. Lastly, Hector from Altadena asked me, will getting pre-approved hurt my credit? The answer to that is, generally speaking, no. 1 credit check, 2 credit checks, 3 credit checks within a 30-day window not only all count as 1 check, but an occasional credit check will not ruin your credit. In fact, the portion of your credit score that is affected by credit inquiries or credit checks is really only 5% of the credit score itself. So really, be mindful of making payments on time, keeping those credit card balances as low as possible. Try not to open up too many new accounts during this process, but getting pre-approved in and of itself will not hurt your credit. And I've never seen a situation where somebody has had great credit and they've gone to having horrible credit due to the pre-approval. If anything, what this process is good for is taking a look at the credit and checking for any mistakes or inaccuracies so that early on those can be addressed, those can be fixed, rather than looking at the credit right as your offer has been accepted, right all of a sudden you're in the middle of escrow, some things are on your credit that are inaccurate or shouldn't be there, and then it's a scramble once you're in escrow to try to fix those things, and you're doing the appraisal, and you have a home inspection. There's just a lot going on. So last point I want to make is the sooner that you can start this pre-approval process, take a look at the credit, sit down with a loan officer, go over your financials, go over your income, the better. So that way you can have a stress-free experience, you can be well prepared, and it won't be a rush at the tail end. Okay? Thanks so much again. My name is Brian McKim. You can reach me at 818-421-4737. Thanks again. I look forward to helping you.